Small organizations where communities begin and thrive. Presented by Robin Donaldson, Cheryl McGee, Colleen Manning, and Jake Rohn.
Small organizations and small businesses are an important piece of our economy. According to the U.S. Small Business Administration, there are nearly 30 million small businesses in the U.S., employing 47.8% of U.S. workers. Small organizations have many advantages over larger organizations, including design, opportunities for advancement, and innovation. Without small organizations, the larger organizations would not exist.
According to the U.S. Small Business Administration, there are two factors that contribute to an organization's size. The first is the amount of employees at an organization. The U.S. Small Business Administration calculates employee size by the average number of people employed for each pay period over the business's latest 12 calendar months. Any person on the payroll must be included as one employee regardless of the hours worked or temporary status. Industries dictate the number of employees that an organization can have to be considered small. This means that an organization in one industry that has 100 employees could be considered large according to their industry standards. Another industry can have 100 employees and be considered small according to their standards. The second factor to an organization's size is their annual receipts or profit margins. According to the U.S. Small Business Association, annual receipts are the total income or gross income plus the cost of goods sold. These numbers can normally be found on the business's IRS tax return forms. Receipts are averaged over a business's latest 3 complete fiscal years to determine the average annual receipts. Small organizations logically have a smaller profit margin than larger organizations, although each industry has size standards outlined by the U.S. Small Business Administration. An example stated by Hernandez is a business that generates $1 million in revenue in an industry with a $750,000 size standard would not be considered small.
Smaller organizations, by virtue of their size, make an organic organizational design easier to manage. As we have learned through IO research, there are several advantages to organic business structures that include higher employee engagement, commitment, productivity, and job satisfaction. Smaller organizations are more likely to have a flattened hierarchy of power simply because fewer employees means that there are not multiple layers of employees and supervisors. A flattened hierarchy of control can reduce employees' perceptions of the disconnect between themselves and upper management and fosters relationships among employees. Formalization can be defined as the degree to which jobs are specialized, which we'll cover in a later slide, but also the degree to which there are written rules and procedures and how strictly those are followed. Geist, in a 1998 review of organizational characteristics, states that size influences the degree to which formalization exists within an organization. As an organization grows, more formalization occurs. Rupp, in a 2011 study, states that less formalization facilitates team building, and team building facilitates accountability. Because employees of smaller organizations tend to share the same workspace and have higher interaction, communication tends to be lateral rather than horizontal. In small organizations, employees have more opportunities to engage with the CEO, owner, or executive director. Benefits from lateral and open communication include increased trust, a sense of relationship, satisfaction, openness, intimacy, and a sense of belonging. Griffin, Patterson, and West, in a 2011 study, cite findings that small organizations tend to have employees with greater job satisfaction. Organic processes lead to larger individual and organizational awareness of social justice in the workforce. There are 3 different perspectives in relation to how the employee feels and perceives how their organization deals with justice. Specifically, looking around, employees begin to look at how they are treated as a group. In small organizations, this is an advantage by reducing the risk of an injustice climate. Looking around creates a justice climate. These collective perceptions of justice will ultimately influence their attitudes and behavior. Small organizations have ample opportunity to grow and expand. Successful business ventures may see expansion in terms of additional products or services, or expansion into new business territories. With either type of expansion, employees who are in at the ground floor have the opportunity to move into supervisory roles or leadership positions. With expansion, the small organization CEO or owner is more likely to choose employees who are known and who have demonstrated knowledge, skills, and abilities to support the company's expansion into new ventures or territories. The employee who has successfully helped out in multiple roles on the varying tasks of the organization is more likely to be trusted with newly formed leadership positions within the company. Employees with demonstrated skills, knowledge, abilities, and other characteristics do not require costly training to move into new positions, a great advantage to a small company seeking to expand. As mentioned before, smaller organizations have fewer employees to manage all of the tasks and jobs of the organization. Therefore, each employee is more likely to learn to do a variety of jobs across the organization. Smaller organizations equals fewer employees, which equals less specialization across the organization. Because fewer employees manage a multitude of responsibilities, tasks and jobs are handled by small teams who share decision-making, which in turn fosters accountability. Young and Parker in a 1999 study cite research that demonstrates that smaller size creates a climate of shared experiences, fostering a collective climate. Collective climates are associated with higher job satisfaction, productivity, and commitment to the organization. Smaller organizations embracing flattened hierarchy of power, open and lateral communication, and decentralization facilitates environments of creativity and productivity. Additionally, Kessler et al. Cite that employees under organizational management tend to be more relationship-oriented, collaborative, encouraging, and sociable. Augustine et al. In a 2018 study in discussion of dialogic communication states that open and honest exchange of information that is most likely to occur in a positive team environment fosters innovative ideas. Additionally, small organizations with less formalization are more likely to embrace innovative ideas and new ways of doing things. American Express had a great success from the creation of small groups. We can compare their ability to be innovative with that of a small organization. Small Business Saturday was created by a small group, and within 3 weeks they managed to reach 42% of Americans and make them aware of Small Business Saturday, all via social media. In 2013, 75% of Americans were reached with an estimated $5 billion spent at small businesses. Even larger businesses rely on small business for their innovation. Small organizations have to compete for resources and are more likely to embrace opportunities for collaboration and partnership, according to Druckmann et al. In 1997. These collaborations can take several forms, 3 of which are mutual service consortia, joint ventures, and strategic alliances. A mutual service consortia occurs when organizations pool resources to obtain a service, information, or product the individual organizations could not afford on their own. Joint ventures occur when 2 organizations combine resources to form a new entity to pursue a common goal. A strategic alliance is similar to a joint venture where organizations again share resources to pursue a common goal, except no new entity is formed.
Now let's take a look at some successful and small organizations and how they contribute to our employment numbers and our economic opportunity. First, we have Kenny and David of Rickshaw Dumpling, who in 2004 opened their first brick and mortar storefront with their food dumplings. And soon after that, they opened a second, which they quickly learned that it was a little bit too ambitious, and so they were almost bankrupt. But instead of that, they closed their second location and they went into the food truck business, and it was a success almost immediately. Their trucks produced a steady cash flow that made the second time they went after a second brick and mortar expansion possible. and the business has grown to employ 70 people in their community, and they're expecting to double their revenue this year. Then we have Chris Zane of Zane Cycles, and whether he's selling bikes in his Connecticut store or filling orders for corporate rewards program, Zane knows that successful business is about more than just selling stuff. At the age of 46 now, Zane first got his start at the age of 12 fixing bikes in his parents' East Haven, Connecticut garage. At 16, he persuaded his parents to let him take over the lease of a bike shop going out of business, and he borrowed $23,000 from his grandfather at 15% interest. His mother tended the store while he was at school in the mornings. In his first year, he racked in, at the age of 16, $56,000 in sales. This year, he expects to bring in 21 million in sales, promoting the local economy.
Small organizations have many clear advantages over large organizations. Analysts are predicting that 50% of the workforce may be freelancers by 2020. With technological advances and need for innovation, small organizations will continue to be in the forefront of the economy. Aside from the e-commerce shift of consumers and their need to support small business, the many other advantages of a small organization laid out in this presentation show their strength to stand out amongst competition.